I'm Victoria Lane, and we begin tonight's broadcast with breaking news from the nation's capital. A devastating air collision involving a commercial passenger plane and a military helicopter has resulted in a tragic plunge into the Potomac River. Just before 9 p.m. Wednesday evening, a routine evening flight turned into a disaster when American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines for American Airlines, collided with a U.S. Army helicopter over the Potomac River on approach to Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Officials confirmed that the commercial airliner was carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members, while the Sikorsky H-60 Blackhawk helicopter was carrying 3 military personnel. According to reports, the incident occurred at around 20:47. Eyewitnesses were stunned to see a sudden and massive explosion lighting up the sky. The heartbreaking scene was captured on video by a live webcam operated by the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, just a few miles north of the crash site. As seen here, 2 planes collide in midair. A fiery explosion occurs, followed by a thick trail of smoke descending toward the river. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, the plane was approaching runway 33 at Reagan National Airport at the time. Numerous agencies in the D.C. area were inundated with 911 calls as the chilling scene unfolded in real time. The Washington Fire and Emergency Department confirmed that the plane plunged into the frigid waters of the Potomac shortly after the crash. Rescue teams of police boats, helicopters, and divers moved quickly to search for survivors. It's a race against time here. The water temperature is close to freezing, making the search and rescue effort even more urgent. Emergency responders are working tirelessly, but the dark and icy conditions pose significant challenges. At this point, authorities have not confirmed the number of missing or survivors, and families are anxiously awaiting news. Let's take a moment to provide some information about the airplane involved in this tragedy. The commercial jet in question was a Bombardier CRJ-700, a regional aircraft typically used for short and medium-haul routes. With 64 people on board, the plane was almost at capacity. The plane had taken off from Wichita, Kansas earlier that evening and was en route to Washington. The Sikorsky H-60 Blackhawk military helicopter is a versatile aircraft widely used by the U.S. Army for transportation, search and rescue missions, and combat support. The helicopter was based at Fort Belvoir in Virginia, a major military installation not far from the crash site. As night fell, rescuers continued their search, and divers plunged into the freezing river in the hope of finding survivors trapped in the wreckage. Strong currents and limited visibility made their mission dangerous, but their determination was unwavering. Our focus remains on locating survivors and ensuring that anyone who may still be alive receives immediate medical attention. We are doing everything possible for all passengers and crew. The cause of this catastrophic collision is still under investigation. The National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration have sent teams to the scene to begin their analysis. Officials will examine air traffic control communications, flight data, and maintenance records of both the jet and the helicopter. Investigators will also examine the weather conditions at the time of the crash to determine whether visibility or wind played a role. Now let's bring us the aviation analyst's assessment of the incident. When we asked, "Can you give us an idea of how something like this could happen, given the tight controls around Reagan National Airport?" While the exact cause remains unclear, the airspace around Washington, D.C. is some of the most tightly controlled in the country due to its proximity to government facilities. There are several layers of air traffic control, and any deviation or miscommunication can have serious consequences. One of the possibilities is that the helicopter or airplane has experienced a technical malfunction and therefore could not be properly separated from each other. Human error or miscommunication between pilots and air traffic controllers could also have been a factor. The weather conditions around 21 hours were reportedly clear, but the cold weather may have affected the aircraft's performance or the rescue efforts. But investigators will need to gather more data before drawing any conclusions. As authorities continue the search, families of passengers and crew are gathering at Reagan National Airport, where they are being briefed by airline officials. American Airlines issued a statement expressing regret and pledging full cooperation in the investigation. The U.S. Army also issued a brief statement saying they were working to find the crew of the helicopter. We are devastated by the events of this evening. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families affected by this tragedy. We are working closely with the authorities and providing all necessary resources to assist with the investigation and rescue operations. Tonight, our nation watches as rescue teams fight against time and nature to save the victims and find answers. This tragedy is yet another reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of safety in aviation. Stay with Agenda NewsTube for continuous updates as we continue to monitor this unfolding story. We are committed to providing you with the most accurate and high-quality news with our unbiased and objective journalism approach. Before we get to the news, your support is invaluable for us to grow our channel and maintain this approach. You can help us build a stronger community by liking our videos and subscribing to our channel. Every like and subscription gives us great motivation to improve our journalism. Remember, we can only get better with your support.